Folks, it's been a terrible day for Donald Trump, which means it's been a great day for America. Because with the announcement of Joe Biden dropping out of the race and the presidential race and endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee, Trump has been forced to defecate in his Donnie diaper as he faces his greatest nightmare. In the form of him running against a much younger opponent, a female of color, and someone who, unfortunately for him, has a track record of convicting and putting away criminals. And folks, I really don't think that it is hyperbole to say that this is Donald Trump's nightmare, as we'll see from the Resurfaced video of Kamala Harris's campaign that we have later in the video. But before we do that, and to prove my point even further, I was going to go on Trump's failing Truth Social site to show you the absolute tirade he went on last night, rampaging against his new opponent, but it's such a broken piece of internet garbage that it won't even load. So I'm forced to go to the other cesspool of conservative nonsense, namely Twitter, to show you his actual truths or tweets. Saying last night, who is running our country right now? It's not Crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country.
We have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired.
Which is clearly not true, and also clearly his teleprompter speechwriters weren't working overtime, because that's the worst, most dipstick argument I've ever heard about the whole situation.
Their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. This is the same thing. The country is very divided.
He also baselessly claims that Biden never had COVID and he is still somehow a threat to democracy, even though he's not going to be the president. Somebody's old man mush brain is showing, which is hilarious because he tried to throw even more shade at Biden's age by saying, it's a new day and Joe Biden doesn't remember quitting the race yesterday. He is demanding his campaign schedule and arranging talks with President Xi of China and Putin of Russia concerning the possible start of World War III. Biden is sharp, decisive, energetic, angry, and ready to go. What are you saying, Donald? What are you talking about? What is this? You are deranged for even typing this. I mean, we all knew this, but look, now you're the only old man in the race, and this is not a good look, Donnie. We don't even have to get into that second paragraph where he flies off the handle even further, and frankly, I don't want to, because the response to this that we should be talking about, and will from now on, was an absolute mic drop moment from Kamala Harris herself, where she tweeted out, I prosecuted sex predators, Trump is one. I shut down for-profit scam colleges, he ran one. I held big banks accountable, he's owned by them. I'm not just prepared to take on Trump, I'm prepared to beat him. And that is the exact same type of energy that has been abundant online, especially after this clip came back and started going viral again of an old anti-Trump Kamala Harris campaign advertisement where she reiterates those sentiments and makes clear that she is a massive threat to Donald Trump and his chances at the presidency. Take a look.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
And as wonderful as that advertisement was, and as spot on and still relevant all of those points are today as they were when that ad aired, there was also another resurfaced piece of evidence, I guess you could call it, that was making the rounds on the internet today that made Donald Trump look so bad and Kamala Harris so good. And that was this conspicuous little check that one Donald J. Trump wrote back in September of 2011 for, would you look at that, the Re-elect Attorney General Kamala D. Harris Fund. And I love how Michael Steele put it here, saying, so when Trump wrote that check to re-elect Kamala Harris in 2011, I bet he didn't think she'd actually cash it in 2024. And folks, Trump is not the only one who is freaking out over having to face up against Kamala Harris in the coming presidential election. In fact, we've seen a slew of Republicans trying to come out with their classic BS about how this is not allowed, it's unconstitutional, despite the DNC having their own rules about how they pick candidates and assign delegates, which, you know, this is all a separate video in and of itself. But a lot of Republican strategists are now crapping their pants because they are freaking out about a number of things. One of them being what this meme is doing a great job of pointing out here, where it says Republican strategists realizing they've deliberately made this election about the cognitive decline of an elderly man, and, you know, them making a huge mistake because now Donald Trump is the oldest presidential nominee, whose mental health has not been very good, despite all the talk of Biden's age. We've talked so many times about Trump's not only mental decline and cognitive inability, but his malignant narcissism. Shout out Shrinking Trump for all of their work and diligence on that. But like I said, it's not just Trump, and you even had Trump advisor and America First legal scholar Stephen Miller go on to Fox News to air his grievances, and just listen to how scared this man is, based on how he tries to brew up these baseless talking points about how Kamala Harris cannot be the nominee, which again we've already addressed are completely fabricated, and just another way for them to claim, oh, it's unfair, we're the victims here, which is just classic Republicanism.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate, and we're pretending the election has never even happened, and we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee. They're publicly admitting that they are an oligarchy. They are not running a democracy. They are not running a representative republic. This is an oligarchy controlled by business interests. And the Democratic Convention is the private corporation that represents those business interests. This is as full frontal an attack on American democracy as we've ever seen in the history of America's major political parties.
Full frontal attack on democracy, you say? Well, that is rich, good sir, coming from Mr. Steal Your Rights and Give Them to Billionaires 2025. That is the story so far. Donald Trump absolutely freaking out, and Republicans trying to figure out the way to shift and adjust their strategy to address this new and very real threat to their campaigns. And in my opinion, so far, utterly failing, just like they did at the RNC with the unity message. Yeah, okay, come on, folks. Let me know your thoughts in those comments down below. How are we all feeling about this new presumptive nominee of Kamala Harris, about Joe Biden stepping down? Obviously, he deserves an incredible amount of praise for everything he's done for this country, and for doing the one thing that Donald Trump never has and never will, but putting the needs of his people and his country before his own pitiful little ego. Thanks for watching, folks. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.